can be challenging to figure out what is the right nutrition for your dog. In this video, we're going to see what your dog's body structures tell us about what is appropriate for dogs to eat. The first thing we're going to look at is your dog's mouth, and in particular, we're going to look at the teeth, their jaw, and their saliva. If you look at their teeth, you will see that they are spaced a little bit further apart. They are narrow and jagged, and they fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. It is clear that these are teeth that are not made for grinding. These are teeth that are made for crushing and cutting. In the front, they have long canine teeth. These teeth are made for holding on to things. The roots of these teeth goes really deep inside of their bone structure. So it is clear that they are made not for eating so much as for grabbing and holding. Finally, their front teeth are small, again narrow. These teeth are made for cutting. In these three shots, you can really see the difference between the teeth of a donkey, a herbivore, the teeth of a dog, a carnivore, and the teeth of a human, an omnivore. You can see that a donkey's and human's teeth are wider and flatter, while those of a dog are narrow and pointy. The shape of a dog's jaw matches in function the structure of their teeth. They do not have the ability of moving their jaw left and right. A dog's jaw is made to move up and down, opening and closing directly. Because they don't have wide teeth like we do, their teeth are not made for grinding, and their jaw is also not made for grinding and chewing. A dog's saliva gives us additional clues as to what a dog should be eating. Their saliva contains very, very small amounts of amylase, an enzyme that breaks down starch and carbohydrates. Initially, it was believed that dog saliva didn't contain amylase, but recent studies have shown that amylase is present, but in very, very small amounts. So looking at a dog's mouth, we can tell that a dog is made to be crushing and ripping food. It's definitely not supposed to grind it. And we also know that it's not supposed to be eating large amounts of carbohydrates because the amount of amylase in the saliva is quite low. Let's go on in our exploration of the digestive tract, and let's talk about the stomach. The function of the stomach is to hold food and slowly pass it along to the small intestine where it can be digested and then absorbed. We know that the stomach contains gastric juices, which contain acid. But what does that tell us about the kind of meal that an animal is supposed to eat? First of all, a dog's stomach needs to be able to contain a large meal for a longer period without allowing bacteria to proliferate. Acid actually breaks down bacteria because of its low pH. We know that a dog's stomach must be made to hold a large meal for a long time, first of all because it's so efficient in producing acid quickly, and secondly because the pH can drop much, much lower than human levels. A human stomach pH is around 2.8. A dog's pH can go as low as 1. This is as low as a car battery. The other function of stomach acid is to activate pepsin. Pepsin is the enzyme that breaks down proteins and starts digesting them. Because pepsin has to stay in the stomach even when the stomach is empty, it's usually present in an inactivated form, pepsinogen. When the pH in the stomach drops, then pepsin is activated and it can start doing its job. This is how we know that dog stomachs are made for fewer meals and with bigger chunks of meat. When you eat a larger meal, your stomach needs to produce a lot more acid to make sure that the general pH of the contents will drop down enough. When your dog eats and the stomach receives the meal, it starts producing a lot of acid very quickly to make sure that the pH level will drop quickly, that pepsin will be activated and it will start digesting, and it will also make sure that there will not be any bacteria reproducing while the dog is digesting. We can see this in nature when we look at the way wolves eat. Wolves usually hunt and then eat larger meals for several days, and then they may go a few days without any food. So their body had to be used to eating very large quantities of meat. Once your dog's meal leaves the stomach and goes to the intestines, this is where digestion happens. Digestion means breaking down larger molecules into smaller molecules so that the body can absorb them. Digestion happens because of a combination of factors, enzymes, and liquids that are secreted by the body. As we have seen, our dogs are very good at breaking down protein, but they really struggle when it comes to breaking down plant material. We already saw that saliva doesn't contain a lot of amylase, so they kind of start a little bit behind in that race. And the other clue that their diet shouldn't include a lot of carbohydrates is that they struggle to digest plant matter. In particular, they cannot break down cellulose. Cellulose is a very hard starch that is contained inside of plant material. Animals such as horses and cows can break down cellulose because they have areas in their bodies, in particular the cecum in the case of horses and pre-stomachs in the case of ruminants like cows, where bacteria live who can break down cellulose so that it can be absorbed and the body can use it as nutrients. Our dogs lack these specific structures, so plant matter cannot be digested. The final clue as to what kind of diet dogs should be eating comes from wolves themselves and the way they eat. But before I tell you that, if you learned something in this video, please leave me a like, subscribe to our channel. We'll be making a lot more videos on nutrition, and I'd be really looking forward to seeing what your questions are and what kind of videos you would like to see. You can also find us on Instagram, our new Facebook page. I'd love to have a chat there. I do a live every week to delve into some of the topics that I talk to in my videos in a lot more depth. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'd be glad to answer them. So, how do wolves eat, and what do we need to know that will help our dogs? Now, when wolves actually catch prey, they will eat their prey in a particular order. First, they will eat heart, liver, and kidneys. Then they will eat the fat present on the animal. And then finally, they will start eating some of the muscle meat and some of the guts. When wolves eat the intestines of their prey, they will rip it open and shake it to get rid of as much of the plant material as possible. So that while they eat it, obviously it's dirty and they will take in some plant material, but it's a very, very small part of their diet. What's really interesting here is that wolves will go not only for the internal organs, but also for the fat. Fat is a really important part of your dog's diet, and it has been shown to help prevent and sometimes even cure cancer. Stay tuned for our next video when we'll talk about the keto diet for dogs and how you can prepare it for your dog. I'm sure you figured out by now that I'm a huge proponent of raw food for dogs. I've been preparing raw diets for my animals as well as my clients' animals for over 12 years now. All have greatly benefited and are in fantastic health. If you were thinking of transitioning your dog to raw food, or you're feeding a raw diet already and you're wondering if it's balanced, I offer a free 20-minute strategy session with pet owners just like you. Go ahead and book a call directly on Instagram or on Facebook. I'm really looking forward to talking to you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.